You look successful. Your Instagram looks like success. Your apartment looks like success. Your wardrobe, your car, your lifestyle, they all broadcast success, and you feel successful. When you're out, people treat you like you're doing well. Your peers seem impressed. Your family seems proud. But late at night, scrolling through your bank account, the feeling evaporates. You're one emergency away from financial collapse. You have no savings. Your credit cards are maxed. Your car payment and your rent consume most of your income. The gap between how you appear and your actual financial reality is not just a psychological issue. It's a financial trap that's costing you wealth and locking you into a fragile position that feels stable as long as nothing goes wrong. Today, we go through 7 specific signs that you're cosplaying. Rich that you're performing wealth while actually building nothing, not to shame you. But because the longer you live in this state, the harder it becomes to get out of it. Sign 1. Your expenses scale with your income, but your net worth doesn't. Here's the first reliable indicator. Every time your income increases, your lifestyle increases by roughly the same amount. You got a raise. Instead of saving it, you upgraded your apartment. You started driving a nicer car. You eat out more. You buy clothes more frequently. Your income went up 30%. Your expenses went up 30%. Your net worth stayed the same. This is called lifestyle creep. And it's the most reliable sign that you're not actually building wealth, you're just performing a wealthier version of yourself with whatever income you have. A person building genuine wealth shows a different pattern. Income increases, but expenses stay relatively flat. The gap between income and expenses widens over time. That gap becomes invested. Net worth compounds. If your income and expenses are moving in lockstep, you're running on a treadmill. The treadmill moves faster, but you're not actually going anywhere. Sign 2. You describe your purchases as investments. Listen to how you talk about things. This luxury handbag is an investment. It holds its value. This expensive skincare routine is an investment in myself. My gym membership is an investment in my health. My certification course is an investment in my career. These statements have something in common. They're reframing consumption as investment to justify the expense. The handbag might hold its value, but you're not selling it. You're carrying it. The consumption is the point, not the investment return. Genuine investments are things you deploy capital into with the expectation of getting that capital back plus returns. A handbag you wear and enjoy is consumption, not investment, no matter how much you paid for it or how much it might theoretically be worth. When you start describing everything as an investment, you're signaling that you're uncomfortable with the reality of your spending. You're trying to reframe consumption as accumulation. Real wealth builders spend on things they genuinely value. They don't describe the spending as investment to justify it. Sign 3. Your social feed doesn't match your bank feed. This is the most straightforward one. What your Instagram or TikTok shows: restaurants, travel, experiences, designer goods, luxury goods, experiences that communicate success. What your banking app shows: overdraft fees, maxed credit cards, no savings, high credit utilization, no emergency fund. The gap between the two feeds is your cosplay. The restaurants you're photographing are real. The trips you're taking are real. But the way you're funding them is not through income that covers them. You're funding them through debt, through credit cards, through borrowed money that you're paying interest on. When your social media feed requires you to go into debt to maintain, you're not living your life. You're performing a life that isn't actually yours. The wealthy person posts less. They don't need to broadcast their success because they're secure in it. The person who has to constantly demonstrate wealth is the one who's actually fragile. Sign 4. You have nitrogen monoxide emergency fund, but you have recent luxury purchases. This one reveals the priority structure clearly. You have zero emergency savings. But you have a designer handbag you bought 3 months ago. You have an Apple Watch. You have new sneakers from a luxury brand. This is the inverse of what builds wealth. Wealth building prioritizes: first, emergency fund, 6 months of expenses in cash; second, debt elimination; third, investment; fourth, discretionary spending. Cosplaying Rich reverses this: first, luxury purchases; second, experiences; third, paying the minimum on debt; fourth, hoping you never need an emergency fund. When you have no financial buffer but you're buying luxury goods, you're essentially choosing to be fragile. You're choosing to perform wealth in the moment while building fragility for the future. The person with the emergency fund and modest possessions is wealthier than the person with luxury possessions and no emergency fund. The modest person has options. The luxury person has obligations. Sign 5. Your debt payments exceed your investments. Look at your monthly cash flow. How much are you paying toward debt every month? Car payment, credit card payments, student loans, consumer debt. How much are you investing? Retirement accounts, investment accounts, wealth-building assets. If your debt payments are larger than your investments, you're not building wealth. You're servicing the appearance of wealth. Someone paying $1,000 monthly in debt while investing $200 monthly is not on a path to wealth. They're on a path to debt payoff, which is fine, but it's not the same as building wealth. Someone paying $300 monthly in debt while investing $2,000 monthly is building wealth even while servicing debt. The ratio matters. If more of your cash flow is going to service past consumption than to build future wealth, you're in cosplay mode. Sign 6. You feel stressed about money despite appearing successful. This is the psychological marker. You look like you have it together. People perceive you as successful. But internally, you're constantly stressed about money. You're stressed because you know the reality doesn't match the perception. You're one missed paycheck away from crisis. You're managing multiple credit card balances. You're juggling payments. This constant low-level financial anxiety is exhausting, and it's a sign that you're maintaining an image that your actual financial situation can't support. Real wealth comes with a sense of security. You might stress about specific decisions, but you don't have baseline chronic financial stress. If you're perpetually stressed about money despite looking successful, your appearance and reality are dangerously misaligned. Sign 7. You make financial decisions based on how things look rather than how they work. This is the meta sign. You choose restaurants because they're Instagram-worthy rather than because the food is good. You choose apartments based on address and appearance rather than actual affordability. You choose cars based on the image they project rather than the value they provide. You choose clothes based on brand perception rather than quality or actual utility. Your financial decisions are being made by what other people think rather than by what actually makes sense for your situation. This is fundamentally incompatible with building wealth. Wealth requires optimizing for function over perception. It requires being willing to drive an older car if it serves your needs. It requires living in a less fashionable neighborhood if it's more affordable. It requires making boring financial decisions. When your priority is perception over function, you're not building anything. You're just paying to perform. How this actually changes. If you recognize yourself in these signs, here's what breaks the pattern. First, stop the performance intentionally. Stop posting the expensive restaurants for a month. Notice how it feels. Notice whether anything actually changes in your life. Second, automate saving before you see the money. Set up an automatic investment transfer on payday before you have access to the money. Force yourself to save before you can spend. Third, calculate your real net worth. Assets minus debts. Don't include your car or your apartment unless you're actually planning to sell them. Just investable assets minus debt. Look at that number. That number is what you've actually built. Fourth, make one boring financial decision. Don't upgrade that apartment. Don't buy the designer item you were going to buy. Invest that money instead. Experience what it feels like to prioritize building over performing. The shift from cosplay to actual wealth building is not dramatic. It's just a gradual reorientation toward function over perception, toward reality over appearance. You look successful. That perception has a cost. It's costing you financial security. It's costing you options. It's costing you wealth. The wealthiest people you know are probably not the ones whose Instagram makes them look wealthy. They're the ones whose actual net worth exceeds their Instagram image. But the cost compounds, the debt accrues, the stress accumulates. Eventually, the gap between performance and reality becomes impossible to maintain. The people who actually get wealthy are the ones who are willing to have their perception lag their reality for a while. They drive the older car while they're building wealth. They live in the less fashionable place. They eat out less frequently. They do the boring things. And then, years later, when they actually have the wealth, they don't feel the need to perform it as much because they know it's real. That's the difference between cosplaying rich and actually becoming wealthy. One requires constant performance. The other requires patience and boring decisions. Choose which one you actually want to be.